Hey Aquarius, this is Ryan with Arrows of Love. It's been a while since I've done an Aquarius reading. It's really good to be back. I took a short hiatus over the last couple of months because work has been pretty intense for me. And I also had Saturn squaring my moon, and that's actually happening all year. And sometimes that produces some stagnant, repressive energy. So I was just kind of low on energy in the month of August, and then I had a lot of work stuff going on. So it's really good to be back. The good news with all of this is after 2 pretty long years of work for me, I am going through a Jupiter return, which means transiting Jupiter is crossing over my natal Jupiter. This is actually the second time around as it's in retrograde, and I got a pretty big raise. So it was unexpected. It's in my 8th house of lump sums. Sometimes it deals with banking, and I happen to work for a financial institution, so it feels pretty darn good, and I'm feeling a little bit revived just after kind of a long period for me. So enough about me. Let's talk about what's happening with you. Today we're going to do your October Love Tarot reading, and as always we start with the astrology in the sky, and there's a lot actually happening. So I'm going to try and make it condense as much as possible, but really the headliner for the majority of October is Mercury retrograde right now. Mercury's been retrograde since late September, and it's going to be moving backwards in the sky. It is an optical illusion. It's not actually moving backwards. It's just based on Earth's rotation around the sun. And it's going to be retrograde until about the 18th. So we have another 9-10 days to go. I'm doing this video on October 9th. So let's talk a little bit about this. This is a peculiar Mercury retrograde, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the events that have been happening that kind of point to this tricky energy. So Mercury is the lord of communication, the god of communication, merchants, channels, traveling, and he's the trickster. He's a neutral planet, so he goes either way. Sometimes communication's good, sometimes communication's bad, sometimes travel goes really good, other times there's delays. Mercury is constantly moving back and forth between the underworld based on its retrograde cycle. So right now, Mercury is retrograding in the sign of Libra. This is another air sign, Aquarius. This is in your 9th house. Libra is 9 signs past Aquarius. And the 9th house has to do with your higher beliefs, your ideals, morality. It has to do with long distance travel, expanding the mind. It's a house of optimism as well. It's known as one of the better houses in astrology. So you could also be attracted to gurus, experts in your field of expertise or work. It's things of that nature. The 9th house is, generally speaking, very positive, and it's in the sign of Libra, so it has to do with balance, harmony, negotiation, fairness, pleasing aesthetics sometimes as well. So Mercury going retrograde in this particular house can cause a little bit of issues. And the reason for that is Mercury right now is conjoined, which means it's aligned exactly in the sky with action planet Mars, which can be assertive, aggressive sometimes. It's boldness, competition, and the sun. So these 3 planets right now are all aligned in the sign of Libra right now. So one of my favorite books that I go to for archetypal combinations is this book from Rhett Butler. It's called The Archetypal Universe. And I'm just going to read a little bit about some of the characters and themes that come out with Sun, Mars, and then I'm going to add in Mercury to this as well. So it's urges toward yang, boldness, and courage, dynamic action and assertion, physical confidence and strength, bravery and prowess, straight-headed directness, a stout heart, a fighting spirit, honest sweat, something attempted, something done, rugged individualism, an affinity for sports, energetic activity with males, sexual passion and virility, Reich's ideal of the genitalial character. So some of the shadow qualities that I want to speak of, because I'm going to talk a little bit about this conjunction between the Sun and Mars. The shadow qualities include a rough and insensitive nature, contentious and competitive spirit, a sporting approach to life, extroverted machoism, a fierce and hot-headed persona, loud and vexatious behavior, coarse or obnoxious manners, disharmonious and incessant expression, self-centered directness, rash and impatient action. So you can see what this combination between Mars and the Sun can bring up because they're conjunct. And then when you add in Mercury, it's a keen and passionate mind, a gift for dynamic communication, an ability to make plans and act quickly, tendency toward mental restlessness and agitation, a rash and impulsive style of communicating, in-your-face directness. So when you have Sun, Mars conjoined here, a lot of times this points to some type of executive action. It's big action in some way, having to be direct, bold. You heard all of those combinations that could come up here, and it has to do with your beliefs and ideals here. So you could be communicating in a very strong way regarding ninth house matters, Aquarius, because that's where a lot of energy is sitting right now. So Libra, let's talk about Libra a little bit. It's the temple of Venus. Venus rules Libra and Taurus. Right now, Venus just moved out of her exile of Scorpio, and she just moved into the very first degrees of Sagittarius, which is actually a very good sign for her. She does pretty well in Sag. So Sagittarius is your 11th house of gains, which is also very good. But during this Mercury retrograde phase, we always look to the ruler of where this particular transit is happening. And that has a lot to do with Venus. So Venus was in her exile in Scorpio in your 10th house of career. So the way I see this is there could have been a lot happening on the career front, potentially for you. It could also be happening in your 4th house of home and family, because that's Taurus, and Venus also rules Taurus. So when we see this, we have a fallen Mars. Mars doesn't do well in Libra, conjoined the Sun, which means it's being burnt up. The qualities of Mars are essentially being defeated, and we can see some of these more shadow qualities of Mars come out: directness, boldness, assertion, cutting, severing. And it has a lot to do with this male macho archetype. So it could have been a fallen male figure in the workplace of some type here, or someone speaking too quickly and they put their foot in their mouth. It's things of that type that come out during this particular time. But Venus now is picking up dignity as she moves into Sagittarius in that 11th house of gains. So if you played your cards correctly here, and you didn't act too quickly or impulsively or too direct, now is the time that you could possibly see some gains. And Venus is a minor planet of money, so you could see perhaps an unexpected bonus, an unexpected raise of some type coming in here. Maybe something with allies and friends, because the 11th house has to do with your group associations, corporations, anything of that type. So that's the type of energy that we can see right here as we have this as Mercury and Mars are essentially reborn through this conjunction with the Sun. So that's what's happening right now. And of course, Mercury is your 5th house ruler. The 5th house is a house of joy, romance, fun, and children. So again, sometimes we can see, short-term relationships come to an end during this time. Flings come to an end during this time because Mercury is that 5th house ruler. The reason for that could be you just have different beliefs and ideals in a relationship right now. So, overall, kind of some difficult stuff during October, but Mercury is going to start moving direct, like I said, right around the 18th. And Mars, where the Sun is actually going to pass through Mars, the Sun moves faster than Mars. So Mars is going to be reborn. So this revitalization of career, because Mars rules your career house. In your 3rd house of communication. So that's what you can expect happening right now. The Sun is also your 7th house ruler of partnerships. So it's in the sign of partnerships right now. That's Libra. So you could be reviewing some of those matters, perhaps. Like I said, it could be like a fallen male figure of some type. I think it has to deal with work. It could potentially be a partner. Perhaps a partner is just going through some really difficult stuff right now. It doesn't necessarily have to mean a breakup. It could just mean, maybe they're going through a surgery, or they hurt themselves, or there's a cut, or they're just kind of going through a difficult time overall. But this is going to change. The energy will change very soon here. Give it till about the end of the month. Don't be signing any contracts. Don't be making any sudden moves while Mercury's in retrograde. It's not the time to be doing that. I would wait probably till November, to be quite honest. So I'm telling everyone that right now. But that's the general energy for you. The other big thing I want to talk about just briefly is we have a ton of planets in retrograde, and it's all coming to an end. So they're all going to start standing still in the sky and start moving forward again. And that just means we can start moving forward in our lives. It's like, thank God, we're done with this review and alignment period. It's been happening for the last 4 or 5 months. So Pluto just went direct Saturn and Jupiter are going to be going direct this month as well. Mercury will be moving direct later on this month. Mars is moving kind of slow, but still moving along. And Venus is moving along too. We're going to have a Venus retrograde at the end of the year in Capricorn, and that's going to be in your 12th house. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to talk about a story of when Venus was traveling, going retrograde in my 12th house last year. Themes, what possibly to expect with that. So finally, the energy is moving forward. Thank God we can move forward in some of this where it felt like we're just kind of stagnant, stuck, things aren't moving, but it's slow. So give it some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. So you're going to start feeling a shift in early November. So that's what you can expect, Aquarius. All right, let's do the tarot. As always, these are general readings. The messages won't resonate with all of you. This is for Aquarius, Sun, Rising, Moon, or Venus. If you like these videos and would like to see more of them, please click the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel and it's very much appreciated for me. And you get to see more of my smiley face. All right. I have one particular friend that's an Aquarius. He's gonna see this video and he's been bugging me to do this for a while. So you know who you are. This is for you. And the rest of my Aquarius followers too, by the way. It's not just for one particular Aquarius, but he's been asking me for quite a few months to get back on YouTube to do the Aquarius reading. So I'm listening. So let's see what's going on with you. We're going to do a modified Celtic cross today. 6 cards from the tarot, 1 from the angels. I'm going to lay out all the cards first and then talk about them. Feel free to leave comments if these are resonating with you. I'm always interested to hear how this plays out for people. All right, so this is for Aquarius. Let's see what's happening with our water bearers. Jupiter's going to be moving direct in your first house of home, your first house of the body, presentation, identity. That's fantastic. So it's going to feel like a big shift. Overall, you could be feeling, if you've been going through some illness, that's when things resolve. If you're looking to do a makeover, this is a great time to be doing that. Also, if you're looking to, if you've been going through a little bit of an identity crisis, this will help you, guide you in that right direction, because Jupiter's about wisdom, expansion, growth, good luck. So opportunity too. So sometimes you got to find the opportunity. It doesn't always just come to you naturally, but if you've been doing that work, Jupiter's about to bring some blessings to you. So that's always a really good thing. All right, I think that's shuffled nicely. Let's pull one from the angels to get the general flavor for the reading this month. Good. Let's see what's going on. Engagement. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. Wow. This is fantastic. So, your 7th house ruler is the sun. That's Leo. The sun right now is sitting in Libra, which is your 9th house of ideals, higher beliefs. Libra is a sign of partnership. It's the scales. So some of you may be taking a commitment to a higher level. Some of you might be just committing more to yourself. And making a commitment to yourself that you want things to change and you're willing to take those steps forward. Remember, we have relationships with ourselves too, so it's not always other people. Sometimes you got to look within as well. So let's, we'll keep that in mind and see what's going on. All right, first card out is always the general energy, the world. Yeah, this is the last card of the tarot. It's a culmination of events. You're on this card, Aquarius. There's a lot happening in your angular houses this entire year, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the world is, generally pretty good overall. That's the general energy. This is what is crossing you, the lovers. Page of Pentacles. The Empress. There's Venus. We've talked about her. 10 of Swords. And the Devil. Wow. So you have a lot of major arcana here, and I'm going to try to unpack this as much as I possibly can for you. So at the center of the reading is the world. Okay, this is the last card of the tarot. This is the final journey of the Fool through the Tarot. And you'll see here at the four corners of this particular card, we have Leo the Lion, we have Taurus the Bull, here you are, that's Ganymede, Aquarius, and then the Phoenix here is representative of Scorpio. So those are the fixed signs. It's the glue that holds things together. So this is a culmination of events. It's a potential ending, but this could also be a good ending. Perhaps an ending to singlehood, perhaps an ending to a relationship that didn't work out so well and wasn't aligned with your personal beliefs. It's always the culmination of events. It's things finally coming to fruition. So if you've been working really hard, if you're wanting to get things off the ground with a relationship, it looks like things could potentially go to that next level, right? Remember what the angels had to say here. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. Some of you are learning to love yourselves, and you're learning that certain things just don't belong in your life, that don't align with you. And you're slowly but surely taking those things out of your life. That is commitment as well, right? And the world is that culmination. You're figuring it out. Now, what's crossing you is the Lovers. And there's a couple different things I want to say with this. The Lovers, of course, could represent love, new love, your love relationship. So maybe things are a little bit rocky potentially right now because the Sun, which is your 7th house ruler of marriage and partnerships, conjoined with Mars, conjoined with Mercury retrograde. Perhaps you're reviewing something on the love front right now. Maybe things are a little bit strained right now. The Lovers also represents Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini, and that's your 5th house of romance. So perhaps things are just a little bit rocky right now. But again, like I said, it's a review and a realignment with Mercury retrograde, with your higher beliefs and your ideals. So if things are just really tense right now, or if you're trying to get things off the ground, it's time to have a conversation. It's time to do a review, perhaps of a particular point in your relationship that's just not working. It doesn't mean breakup. It just means something is coming up for review here, right? And something needs to come to an end. Now, what I like here, and there's a couple different other things here that I want to talk about. So the point of contention here might be around joint finances and money, because we have the Page of Pentacles here, and pages, typically speaking, represent communication, representative of Mercury, and it's the Pentacles, and a lot of times this has to do with value, beliefs, resources, money. So I think that's the topic by which you're perhaps reviewing things with this Mercury retrograde cycle. But again, this has to do with value. So are you valuing yourself correctly here? Do you have strong boundaries in what it is you're willing to put up with in a relationship? Or are you letting people kind of walk all over you, Aquarius? You're typically not that type of person. You're typically pretty independent, and you're not really willing to be codependent on a relationship, but perhaps there's an element of finance value that needs to be worked out here in order to take that relationship to the next level. Now, what I really like about this reading is we have the Empress. And the Empress is the archetypal Venus card. And if you'll notice here, here's the glyph of Venus right here on the stone. She's sitting on her throne. She's indicative of fertility, beauty, aesthetics, sensuality, cooperating, negotiating. Remember that Venus is the Lord of Libra, and Libra is the sign of balance, fairness, cooperating, negotiating, seeing both sides of the story. Now, where Libra gets tripped up is when they don't make a decision. They can be a little fickle, a little bit vain even sometimes. So that's the kind of the shadow quality of this. So don't get tripped up here on some of those shadow qualities of Venus. Venus just moved into that 11th house of gains. So perhaps there's something here that's culminating where there's a gain. There's something that's coming up for you overall through the house of joy. The opposite side of the house of joy is the 11th house of gains. So there's something here that can be gained if you have a very candid conversation about value, self-worth, finance, and what do you want in love? And it has to do with your higher beliefs and your ideals, right? That's where that 9th house is being activated. Now, the situation here, there could have been some underhandedness. Something you didn't see coming. You could have felt like someone maybe even didn't tell the truth in the situation. The 10 of Swords is always feeling like someone kind of backstabbed you. And Mercury's been going through some difficult transits while in Libra. It's squared Pluto, which is Pluto's this god of the underworld. It's things unseen. It brings up secrets, and Mercury Pluto is spewing at the mouth of truth. Like, things just start coming out that you're like, where the heck is this coming from? Why wouldn't you tell me this, weeks or months ago? And now you're just coming out with it. So it could have felt like someone was not really on the up and up with you, and now you got to have a conversation and making sure you level set here with the other person. And it has something to do with control. So here is the Devil. You'll see that the Lovers reappear here, right? And I always mention this with this card because I think people kind of get freaked out with the Devil. The Devil's not to be feared. The Devil is Saturn. This is the archetypal Saturn card. Saturn is your sign right now. Your ruler, Aquarius, and it's in Aquarius right now, and it was going retrograde. So it was kind of like having to reassess identity, having to reassess beliefs, your ideals. And now Saturn's going to be moving forward again. So it's like you get to move forward here. You get to have a conversation. You get to address control issues, potentially with money, potentially with value. Someone's trying to control you, not respecting your boundaries here. And now it's time to break the chains that bind you. Let go of control issues. I mean, that's really what this all comes down to at the very end of the day is, where are you giving up your power? And sometimes we give it up to people that deserve it and people that you can trust. Other times you shouldn't be doing that. Don't be quick to just give away your power because someone's beautiful and they did. If the actions don't match words here, you're dealing with a tricky character. So what I say is toxic situations, toxic thinking, toxic beliefs, toxic people, they got to go. And that's always the lesson of the Devil here. And you got to make a choice. I mean, it's the Lovers. It's always decisions. Do you go forward with this situation or do you end it? And, again, this could be related to work as well because you have a lot happening on the work front. Venus rules Libra, all those planets sitting in Libra right now. Venus is your 10th house ruler, your 9th house ruler. But during this Mercury retrograde cycle, she was sitting primarily in Scorpio in that 10th house. So this also has to do with males in your life, VIPs, people of authority. So maybe you're dealing with a boss that's problematic. But in terms of love and commitments, this is letting go of a situation, an idea, a belief that's controlling you, that is actually not working. So you're going to have to reassess here a little bit, and it's time to let that go. That's what the world is saying. Because, dealing with this Ten of Swords energy, it's difficult, right? You're blindsided by something. So what I'm going to say is reassess, making sure things are aligned with you personally, with your beliefs and your ideals and your morality, right? And tap into that Venus energy here. There's something to be gained. The 11th house is being lit up by Venus. That's money. So and there's a lot of undertones of finance here and value. So perhaps you need to take a look at that and making sure your values are aligned. All right, Aquarius, I hope you enjoyed this reading. As always, I hope you're doing well. Leave a comment, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.